Hello and welcome to another episode of All About Cats and Dogs. Did you hear the word cat? Is that what happened? You know you're a cat? Again, this is Miss Kitty, and she says hi. In this episode, we will be talking about cat and dog enrichment, which is very important, and you'll see why. The reason that I had this idea was that I had a conversation with the recreation ecologist at my school. Her name is Steph, and she's really cool. So she was telling me about how shelters are usually pretty short on volunteers and how important it is for cats and dogs and just animals in general to have enrichment activities, because there are cases in which cats go, as she called it, kennel crazy. And this is because cats or animals feel high levels of stress, especially when they're confined to that small of a space and they don't have anything to do. And so this makes them less appealing to the public, and they're less likely to get adopted. So if you take anything out of this, it would be probably that if you have the chance to volunteer at an animal shelter, that would be a great thing to do, especially if you love animals. And another thing you can take out of it is that if you're going to adopt a pet, probably be a good idea to try to adopt a shelter animal, because if you spend money on, an expensive pet, like breeders, that's just more demand for breeders who are making money off of, dogs, just breeding dogs and cats. And we already have an overpopulation problem. As I mentioned before, there's a lot of overcrowding in shelters, and animals are having to be euthanized all the time for lack of space in shelters. So it's better to adopt from a shelter, as I'm sure you've heard before. But yeah, if there's anything you take away from it, let it be that. So one of the studies that I read was talking about the high stress levels that cats experience, especially when they are in a shelter, because it's such a new environment. And it's even more stressful for them if they don't have anywhere to hide. So they were looking at hiding, hiding enrichment. So giving them something to hide behind, and then they also had a control group where they didn't have such a thing in their kennels. And so it may be expected that because they have somewhere to hide, that the potential adopters wouldn't see them. But they found that giving cats these tools, that the ability to hide, actually helped them have lower stress levels. They were more approachable, more friendly, and they didn't have much of a difference in their ability to be adopted from the control group. They measured that in days before adoption, like from when they were given the hiding toys or tools. And so I can understand that. I know when I first got Miss Kitty, she was really stressed out because first of all, the other person that had her, a friend of mine, had other cats that kind of bullied her, and she was just really always cornered, and so by the other cats. So she really was so stressed out when she got put in the crate to come home with me. And as soon as we got here, she went and she hid. And, I tried to get her out of wherever she was hiding, tried to get her to explore, but once I finally put her in the room, she did keep hiding. She's doing a lot better now. At first, she was only she wouldn't leave the room and she would hide in the closets, but now she's doing a lot better. She's just kind of scared of the broom whenever we sleep in here for some reason. She hisses at it. Other than that, she's actually starting to come out of her shell. Sometimes she'll go out into the living room and adventure. But yeah, she's very sweet, and some of the first days that we had her, she was hiding a lot, but whenever we pet her, like wherever she was hiding, she would just flop over and let us pet her. And I can understand where high stress levels may make pets seem like, they're maybe not good options for adoption, but I think it's important to give them all a chance, because you never know when they find the right family, they can come out of their shell. So I didn't know this about them needing to hide. Well, I guess I never really thought about it, but apparently being able to hide gives them less stress, so that's good to know. And then looking at dogs, there was a study that talked about how dogs need human interaction, how, like us, they're social creatures, so they also need dog-to-dog interaction, but they also need toys for enrichment and things like that, like scents. It's very important for them to be socialized while they're young, even though they may not be necessarily able to be housed like in kennels or shelters. If they may not necessarily be able to be housed together with another dog, but they do need dog-to-dog interaction, so maybe they can be facing each other. It does lead to barking, but the study said that it does help for them to actually be able to see other dogs, and it's very detrimental for them to be, hidden off in a back corner by themselves. Human interaction, most of all, is very important, and that makes a lot of sense because, after all, humans did breed dogs to be pro-social with humans, so now they love us and, they want all of our attention. It was seen that, it's been observed that there are differences between the way that dogs interact with men versus with women, and that just may be because of the way that we interact with them, the way that we pet them or talk to them differently. But overall, it's been found to be really important for dogs to have human contact, whether that's training. Training is apparently a very good form of enrichment. It actually helps them, get their brain juices flowing. So that's kind of a good way for enrichment. And toys are really good, but most of all, what's important is human contact. And that's why volunteers are so important, because there's so many dogs that could have very high stress levels, and if you would just give them your time and attention, that could help them get adopted. So even though kennels and shelters may do a good job of taking care of dogs and cats physically, psychologically it's a very different thing, and that's why they need lots of volunteers to be able to take care of more dogs and help those dogs and cats be more adoptable, more approachable, so that they're more appealing to potential adopters. And so that will help them not have to be euthanized. And just in any housing, that's what they were looking at. Specifically, they were interested in lab animals, but this could apply to any kind of housing. Even your pet, they really need play. Play is a very good form of enrichment. They need play for you to interact with them as much as you can, because they love you. And just cats need to be able to carry out their natural instincts, so also playing and whatever cats do, and that will really help their stress levels, and decreasing their stress levels will help them to decrease or get rid of unwanted behavior. So that's all great, and it's important especially for puppies, but it's important for them later on, as they grow up, to be socialized with other dogs, because they really need that interaction, but most of all, they need you. So adopt shelter animals and volunteer if you can, but also pay lots of attention to your pets and their needs, because just feeding them isn't enough. If you really love your pets, you really, gotta dedicate your time and attention and love to them. And let me know in the comments if there's any specific topic you would like for me to cover in one of my videos, and I will see you guys next time.